Hey guys, just a quick follow-up to my RC remote disconnection video I posted the other day. Now, while I was working on that video, DJI released software updates for several products, including the Mini 3 Pro, the RC remote, and the Fly app. These were significant updates, adding new features, plenty of bug fixes, and very likely a few new bugs too. What's interesting about this update, especially for the Mini 3 Pro, is that DJI released firmware version 1.200, and then less than 24 hours later released an update to that, version 1.201. Obviously, there were some problems with the 2.0.0 release, so it was quickly patched and re-released. Anyhow, looking through the release notes, the first thing that caught my eye was optimize the anti-interference ability and the transmission distance of the image transmission system. Could this be the solution to the range issues plaguing the RC remote? Well, there is only one way to find out, so I updated my drone, my remote, and the DJI Fly app and went out for some test flights. Now, much of the basic drone testing I do is right outside my front door. I live in a river valley, steps away from the Columbia River, and once I'm up and over the neighborhood trees, I have a great open expanse in which to fly unobstructed. My first flight using the RC remote after the firmware update, I was able to fly almost 500 meters away before losing only 1 bar of signal strength. I was able to push the drone all the way to 1100 meters before the signal got kind of dicey and I brought it back. Already though, this was showing a big improvement. For my second flight, I paired my Mini 3 to the Mini 2's RC N1 remote, took off and followed the same flight path. I lost my first bar of signal strength at just over 400 meters, and the signal started to get really bad at just over 1 kilometer, which was about the same as the RC remote. The next day I performed a couple more tests just to make sure it wasn't a fluke. Again, I went back to the Mini 3 and RC remote along the same flight path, and the results were pretty much identical. I was able to fly 1 kilometer away before the signal became very weak, which is definitely much better range than I was getting before the firmware update. For my final test, I flew the Mini 2 using its RC N1 controller, again along the same flight path. To my surprise, the Mini 2 dropped its first bar of signal strength at just over 300 meters, and by 400 meters distance, I was down to 3 bars. Even though the Mini 2 started dropping signal strength early, I was still able to push it out over 1200 meters before the transmission became really choppy. Quickly thereafter though, I hit a low battery warning, so I hit return to home to bring the drone in for a landing. I have not done exhaustive testing, but the few flights I did have shown a considerable improvement in signal reliability and range. Now, I know this issue is not affecting everyone equally, so I would love to hear from you guys if you're noticing an improvement with this latest firmware release. Now, before I wrap this up, I want to mention a quick point about maps on the RC remote. During my first flight after updating my RC remote firmware, I had no map data at all, literally nothing, just a blank white screen, and that is because I didn't stay connected to Wi-Fi long enough for the map data to get downloaded and cached. There may have been a bit of a glitch there as well, but it was easily solved by reconnecting to my Wi-Fi and giving it some time to download the data. If you want to speed this process along, you can power up your Mini 3 and your remote, make sure you're connected to your Wi-Fi, and then go into flight mode, click on the map, and zoom in on the area in which you're going to fly. The more you zoom in, the more detail you're going to get, and this data will be cached for your next flight. For the most part, I find it quicker and easier to pull map data down while connected to my home network, rather than using my phone as a Wi-Fi hotspot in the field. And that's it for this one, guys. I'm really curious to know if you are seeing similar success with this new firmware, so please let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks so much for watching, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.